Welcome back to another episode of Next Level Fishing. Today we're going to talk about an addiction that I have, and that addiction is regarding big swim baits. I have spent way too much money the last couple of years on big swim baits and glide baits, specifically more so custom type baits than the mass-produced stuff. But I've got a bad habit of kind of flipping through my Instagram account and seeing something that I like and having to have it and buying it. And, unfortunately, a lot of the baits can range, upwards of several $100s. But I really think they are a bait that everyone needs to have in their arsenal. But there's very specific times to use them. I have had some instances where I've got more interest from a big bait than I've had like in days worth of fishing. So I mean, I had one tournament where I was getting like 4 or 5 bites a day for 15, 16 hours of fishing time per day, and I pulled out a big glide bait, and it was like I was on a whole different lake. It got to the point where it just was almost laughable. Like I could call my shot where I was going to get a bite, or even just have a fish come out and take a look at the bait. But man, it's really an eye-opening experience when you can see the potential that a big bait has. And so what I wanted to do for you guys is I wanted to kind of go through what I have found to be like my best custom glide baits. They're all pretty small batch runs, but they've all got a really good time and place. And I was hoping maybe I could just point you guys in the direction of some baits that have been proven for me to work, because there are so many different swim baits out on the market right now. I mean, it's really incredible how many small custom makers there are. And we're seeing a lot of the bigger companies now coming through with some of their own sort of glide baits. So, these are the ones that work for me. The first one that I want to point out, this is a Fish 30 acre. It's what they call a money shad. It comes in, there were 2 sizes. This is the normal one, and then this is the big one. You can see it's pretty drastic. This is actually a muskie bait for me. I throw this when I'm muskie fishing. It's so big that it's actually got hook hangers on the side for additional treble hooks. And so what I'm a big fan of 30 acre stuff. I've been using a lot of their baits over the years, and in this case, this plastic material that they use is actually kind of like pliable. It bends, so it holds up really well. And it generates a lot of strikes. This bait has got really wicked action. It's got a very aggressive swimming motion, more so than most of these other baits. And I think probably a good portion of that is due to the material being flexible. But I have found this bait to work fantastic on TVA bodies of water. I really think it mimics the gizzard shad that are down there really well. I don't know why, I've gotten a lot of good luck. Like on Pickwick Lake, this bait's caught me several really big smallmouth as well as largemouth. But I have found that this works on the TVA really well. I've had good luck with it all over the place. I've had a lot of good musky action on it too, and I think that is because it's got such aggressive thumps when you're swimming it. It just generates strikes. So the 30 acre stuff has definitely been good. Like I said, this is called the money shad. The one thing I don't like with 30 acre is they kind of come out with, from what I've seen, I could be completely wrong in this, but it seems like they come out with a run of baits, and then once that production is done, they move on to doing other baits. So if you like something, you almost have to buy one or two or 1 or 2 extra just so you have them, because they may never produce them again. And I could be wrong in that. They may come out and do it, but it just seems like they like to continue to just come out with new stuff, and they don't ever get back to producing other baits. But so the next one, this is a Sly Guy lures. Sly Guy is another bait that I came across on Instagram years ago. They can be tough to get. They're pretty good about announcing when they're going to release certain batches. But this bait I have found to be phenomenal up here in the North Country. We've got lots and lots of perch up here, and this bait really mimics it well. It's one of the most natural looking perch baits I've seen on the market. And the action is really good. It's got a nice gentle glide. Works great on, you know, like really slow retrieves. Kind of does a really good suspending action, and generates a lot of better than average size bites up here in the North Country. I have also found that it can be absolutely killer on smallmouth bass. And, you know, I know smallmouth love eating perch, but it doesn't have to be the perch color. This long, skinnier, slender body style, I think, is really what generates those bites from the smallmouth. They really seem to like it. Sly Guy lures. It's a great bait. So this is an HPH Custom. It's a 6-inch. This bait is probably the best all-around glide bait that I own. They're really tough to get. They can be pretty expensive. The tail on it's been pretty beaten up after catching a lot of fish, but I feel like this specific bait, and I know this is smaller than a lot of the others. I mean, it's still 6 inches. It's not a small bait, but for whatever reason, I feel like I get more strikes on this bait than follows. You know, it's very common to get a lot of fish following your bait, but with respect to this bait, I feel like I get probably 2 to 1 strikes versus follows. I don't really understand why that is. I know it's a little smaller in size. The paint job on it is amazing, super natural. I really can't say enough good things about this bait. I wish I had more of them. I've got this one, and that's it. So I almost don't even like throwing it unless I'm in a tournament situation. But it's a great bait. I'd love to get one of the bigger 8-inch size models, and I'm sure someday I will. I just got to be willing to pull the trigger on it. But I highly recommend the HPH. If you can find one, they're worth the price. They really produce well and get a lot of bites. The spotted bass absolutely love this bait. So I've got 2 here. I've got a whole pile of these. So these are made by LaGrady Lures, and this is the donut, and then this is the shortcake. So this is a smaller model. And these baits just, I find these baits to be super easy to use, super fun to use. They've got great motion in the water. He's got some really cool colors, very realistic looking colors, but they've got a super realistic swim. And it's kind of surprising because, I mean, I don't want to call them clunky, but I mean, they're, you know, not nearly, I don't know how to describe it. They don't have the same realistic look that some of these other ones have. But they've got a extremely natural swim, and they also have a really good sound. Like in the water, you get that ticking sound, and I think that's really what draws the fish, to be honest with you. But these are, I've got probably more of these than anything else. I love these. They're easy to throw. They're really good. Like, they're a great beginning, like, swim bait user. I mean, I don't think you can use these wrong. They're really easy to use, and they get a lot of strikes. So I would definitely check these out. LaGrady Lures, super cool looking baits. So the last one I want to point out is the Phony Frogs Phony Shad. This is their albino color one. We got the sun playing with us right now. So this, if I could recommend one big fish bait that I own, it's this one. Not necessarily in this color. The albino color is great too, but the Phony Frogs Shad is amazing. I've had more days with this, like when I was saying before, you know, I've had days where you fish all day, don't get a bite, and then you put on a glide bait. I've had more instances with this Phony Shad with that happening than any of the other glide baits I own. I don't know specifically what it is, but there are times that this thing just will drive the fish crazy. It's super realistic looking in the water. The movement's great. The realistic like fins on this are really pretty amazing. I think they're a big part of what generates those fish, but it's an amazing bait. I mean, you throw it along a dock, once you learn how to use it, you can get this bait to glide feet in one direction down under the dock and through the posts, and it will just generate strikes as well. I can't say enough good things about a Phony Frog. The only thing I will say is they can be really difficult to get to. You gotta pay a lot of specific attention to when they're releasing products on the website. They're in very high demand. So if you don't know that they're going to release them at say 7 o'clock on a Monday, you could very easily miss out on that batch release, and then the next release might not be for 3 more months. They can be pretty pricey. I want to say that these are, I'm going to say around about 160 bucks, but really worth it. If you're looking for a good high dollar bait, I mean, this is one. They hold up great, and he's got a couple of different versions in terms of sink rates, with lots of super realistic colors. So I would definitely recommend a Phony Frog as well. But in general, you know, I think more than anything, I just think it's something all anglers need to have a couple of. I mean, they are super fun to use. You know, they're not what I would consider great tournament baits, unless you've got a pretty good limit of fish already and you're looking for that 1 or 2 big bites. But in general, like if you're just looking to go out and have a fun day of fishing, like you don't even have to have a bite all day. You will enjoy throwing these big baits and just learning how to make a move in the water. It's totally different than most bass fishing. Prior to kind of getting into this a few years ago, I always kind of questioned what the big craze of swimbait baits were, but there is really something to fishing a big, you know, swim bait, whether it's a glide bait or a soft plastic swim bait. There's just something totally different to it, and you get a really good adrenaline rush every time you do get a strike. And for the most part, when you get a strike, it's like they're ripping the rod out of your hand. I mean, it's really aggressive. A lot of similarities to musky fishing in a way, but give them a try, guys. Hey, if you guys know of any swim baits or glide baits that you highly recommend, please let me know. Leave a comment below. I'm always adding to my collection. These are just a handful of the ones that these are like my go-to ones. I've got a whole bunch more. Sometimes I buy some and I can't say I'm super impressed. They may look great, but they're not, in the water, they're not easy to use or don't look right to me. But these, you can't go wrong with any of these ones that I've just rattled off. They are all top-notch, super high-quality baits that generate strikes. So, like I said, leave a comment if you've got some I need to check out. I'm always looking for more. And please subscribe to the channel, guys.